Friend of Mission information on there with the addresses and birthdays and anniversaries and stuff.
So if you are a reporter in your congregation, or if you know your reporter is not here and you're the one that's representing your church, would you please raise your hand and we'll get those items out to you right now. All right. I want to thank Stephanie Sharmer, our spiritual growth lady, for putting that skit together for us. I want to thank the rest of the officers and especially the young lady, can't remember her name, who was from St. John's here, who played our Sarah Single person. And you can resonate with each one of your ladies' groups. You want young, you have the young mothers, the busy people, the retired people, and maybe even the very tired people in your congregations. So we want them all, and just now I was going to ask that the officers be recognized so that you know who they are. Again, I'm Connie Bader, and if you would like to pull out this pale blue sheet, you can see who the officers are as I announce their name. There she is, our St. John's person. Thank you. Really appreciate you being a part of the skit. Okay. So on my right here is Tammy Koenig. She is president-elect. Our secretary on my left here is Cindy Zanke. She, again, has put, I can't even tell you, countless hours into preparing for this, way more than the president. That's why I would never run, just kidding. Thank you again, Cindy, for all your hard work. Okay, treasurer, Ruth Kinsler. Okay, our pastoral advisor, Greg Pope, is here. Stand up, Greg. He's towards the back. Our spiritual growth advisor, John Unash, is also here. There he is. Our spiritual growth women, I already mentioned Stephanie, and of course, our dear Janie Hausdreisel. Did I say that kind of right? Yes. And Janie, where are you? Janie was the sleepy one up here. All right. At this time, I would like to call our business meeting to order of the Fall 2023 Winona Circuit Rally. At this time, we're hoping that you had a chance to encourage some of the women or one of your pastors to come along with you, and maybe they were first-time attendees. Would those who are first-time attendees please stand? Let's give them a round of applause. First-time attendees, I'm going to encourage you, after we dismiss, after the closing devotion, to come up here. There are and maybe one of your favorite hymns is up here, please come and find something that maybe you can use to decorate your home and reflect on your time with us, and please come back again. Okay, along with our first-time attendees, I know that there are reporters here. Please stand. Please stay standing. Thank you, reporters, for getting the news out to your congregations, to your ladies, to your pastors. It's your job is vital to the organization to make sure that we can continue meeting and supporting missions. Let's give our reporters a round of applause. And reporters, since I think if I counted about right, I think there might be Hymns of My Heart plaque for you as well. So come on up after we have our closing devotion. All right, at this time we'll do our standing reports. We'll have our secretary's report by Cindy Zenke. You'll find it in your folder. It's a white sheet. We'll give you time to peruse it in case there are any corrections or additions. Does anyone have any corrections or additions? If not, the secretary's report will stand as written. All right. We will go on with our treasurer's report. That is again another white sheet. I think it's at the end of all the stuffing. I saw it at the end of the right side. Yep. And Ruth, do you have any comments at all?
I don't.
In looking over the mission box offering submissions, periodically it's hard for congregations to, I'll say, have a door offering in a timely manner so that it can be counted and submitted to our secretary. And October 1st was the date that the churches were supposed to have their monies sent to Ruth. Sometimes these monies are late and Ruth doesn't have, or the treasurer doesn't have a chance to record those monies. If some of your churches, if you don't see your name listed there, that means she received them late or still hasn't received them. Please speak with Ruth if you know your mission box monies were sent or that they still will be coming. However, they will not be recorded or sent to World and Home Missions until next spring. Does anyone have any questions about that? All right. If not, then the treasurer's report will stand as written. I do have a couple of items of correspondence. One is from the Home, World, and Joint Mission Council, where we do send our mission monies. We actually send 1/4 of your mission monies to the Synod's Home, World, and Joint Mission Council. The other leftover amounts, okay, that money is then divided between home and world missions that we, the circuit, pick. This correspondence is from WELS, Home and World Missions. Give thanks to the Lord. We are grateful for the blessings of LWMS and our longtime partnership. Through these countless faithful prayers and generous gifts from people like you, we carry on with this important work. We are truly humbled by your trust. Thank you. We pray with you for God's continued blessings as we boldly share the love of Jesus with lost souls of this world and strive for outreach in new communities in the U.S. and to the far corners of the world. Many thanks and God bless. And the person that wrote this was Christine Dovnik, and she is Mission Advancement Coordinator. Okay. Another bit of correspondence was from Alyssa Nash. Alyssa received one of our scholarships that we give out. You may have seen the 3 boxes as you registered. Your individual donations, whatever you want to give, will go towards our working fund, mission fund, and our scholarship fund, in which we help support students who are studying for ministry, whether the teaching ministry or the pastoral ministry. Alyssa was the recipient last spring. Last fall. Last spring? This summer. Thank you, Pastor Onash. I would like to take this moment to thank you for granting your scholarship to me. This $300 will greatly assist in paying my final semester tuition and subsequently to pay my student loans. I'm very grateful for all the monetary assistance you have provided me with this and past years. I look forward to graduating in December and entering the ministry as an elementary teacher. Sincerely, Alyssa Nash. Boy, that just does my heart good to read that. And then there was one more item of correspondence. Okay, you know that Mark and Sue Riki served in India, and Mark and Sue are here. Just wave your hand. I know you don't want to do that. This comes as no surprise to you, Mark and Sue, when we received this letter. Thank you for your past support of the WELS India Orphanages Fund. We are grateful to our Lord for the partnership in that part of the kingdom work. We want to make you aware of a shift in ministry by India's Confessional Lutheran Church that has them discontinuing support for the orphanages. In recent years, India's government has moved toward Hindu nationalism. Western orphanage work has come under scrutiny. Meanwhile, the number of orphans served by the church in India has dwindled. These factors have the church in India discontinuing work with orphanages while focusing on their core mission of providing biblical training for national pastors. Since WELS will no longer be able to support India orphanages, we plan to move the funds that they have for this, $324,000 remaining into the Indian Orphanage Fund, to World Mission Funds, where it can be used for efforts like reaching out to 6 schools in Bangladesh. Now, that's where our most recent gift will be sent then, or moved, and that they are just bringing this to our attention. I think this is very interesting how for a very short time, God's rain cloud hovered over India, and we were able to share the gospel with young people, orphanages, and at the schools there. And again, your money is still being used, but it is going to go, possibly with the rain cloud, over to Bangladesh. All right.
This next one just have a reason names on that memorial.
Okay. Now we will go to memorials. If you have someone from your congregation who was active in LWMS in the past, we designate from our working fund $25 in their memorial, in their memory, and that is put then in our mission funds. If you have someone in your congregation who has passed since the last rally, or that we have not noted in previous rallies, would you please raise your hand? All right, it doesn't look like at this time that there is, but keep this in mind. If among you there are just stalwart supporters of missions, and you know that they have been a part of our organization, let us know in the future when they go to their eternal rest. Thank you. Now we'll go on with some old business. In your folders, there is an Ignite sheet. There is a section called, I believe it, Fast Facts on the left side of that sheet, which summarizes very succinctly what kind of funds were generated, how many attended our summer's convention here in the La Crosse area at the La Crosse Center. I know many of you volunteered and helped make that happen, and many of you attended. Would you please raise your hand if you attended National Convention in La Crosse this summer? Wonderful. Wasn't it an outstanding convention? Down towards the bottom of this same sheet, you will see a little advertisement about where the 61st annual LWMS convention will be held in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Around the first of the year, there will be information regarding registration, costs, lodging, and as well as the voting for the next missions that will be supported by our mission boxes. Please, reporters, as you get this information, make it known to all of your ladies, your pastors, anybody in your congregation can attend these conventions, and you know how spiritually uplifted they are. Personally, I can tell you there have been times where I thought, I just don't have time to go. I don't have the resources to go. It's going to be difficult for me to, when I had a young family, to leave them with my husband for the weekend or have other people watch them. And yet my husband would push me out the door, put me on that bus, put me in the car, and I would come back so on fire and so revitalized and refocused. That's what it is, refocused. You feel like you were on the mountain with Jesus on Transfiguration, and that you've now come down from the mountain and you're ready to go out and do the Lord's work. So if you haven't attended convention, I highly recommend that you start putting your dollars aside so that you can make this happen. As you know, convention has, again, costs have gone up with everything from the grocery store to gas and convention, but it's highly worth it. And again, reporters, please share that information as it comes to you. All right. LWMS scholarship. Da, 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 da. Pastor Unash, do you have some information for us? Please. closer here. I think it's directional. Here we go.
This?
Yeah.
Ooh, it
Oh, you don't
works.
have to do anything. You're live.
I'm right. So Katie Coots is in her third year at MLC, and if you don't have a written thanks from her, then I'll express it verbally. And Alyssa Nash, Katie Coots is from St. John's Nodine, and Alyssa Nash is from St. John's Lewiston. And Alyssa just got married in June, so her maiden name, I don't know if they pronounce it Miller or Mueller, but it's M-U-E-L-L-E-R. So, and there was another applicant, so I wrote her a nice letter after we discussed it, encouraging her to apply again. We very much want to give her a scholarship as well. She's just in her first year, a graduate of Luther High in Onalaska, so we will hopefully be helping her in the future, and we tried to give her morale support, and we appreciate that she is studying for the teaching ministry. So, anything else you want to know?
I think that does it.
Okay.
Okay. Again, as you know of people, if you know of young men and women in your congregation who are attending one of our synod schools, seminary or MLC, please hand them one of these scholarship forms. I know it's not a great amount, not in thousands of dollars, but every little bit helps. Okay. I may have jumped over the Send One Sister form that's in your program. Cindy said it's out on the front where the registration was. Send One Sister means someone who has never attended National Convention before would like to go, and they find it feasibly challenging. We have a fund where we can help you with those costs. If you know of somebody that wants to go and they're saying it's just not in our budget, please have them fill out a Send One Sister form. So you might want to take one before you leave and go by the registration area. Is that enough? Okay.
Anytime I can send them to them.
Yes, and our secretary, you've got her information on the pale blue slip, could send one of those forms to you. Moving on, our BAM report. Stephanie has already given you out a bookmark, okay? A bookmark, and inside your folder is a more descriptive sheet of all of our, thank you, of all of our Befriend mission assignments. Okay, Stephanie herself just was in Peridot, where Luke Ziemer gave her a tour, right, Stephanie? Do you want to stand up and say a little bit about what you saw? Okay.
First, I'm a little out of my comfort zone being up here in front of everybody, so you'll have to excuse me. And also, I only kind of found part of the skit that we did, so I would like to thank Connie. She's the one that had the brilliant idea of adding all the hymn references, so thank you, Connie. So I was fortunate enough to be able to visit Arizona, see some family, and in the Phoenix area, which is only a couple hours from Peridot. So I was working on the Befriended Mission information, how many weeks ago, and had to contact Luke and said I would be in the area, so if it would be possible to come and visit him, and he said that would be wonderful. The main thing that he would like to say, and that they said many times, is to thank you all for your support and prayers, and please continue that. So Luke Ziemer and also Joel Burmeister and his wife. Joel is the 7th and 8th grade teacher there. They were all giving us a tour. Mrs. Landwehr came out I was with my aunt. She knew the Landweers and the Burmeisters, so she did a lot of visiting while we toured. But I don't know where to even start. It's just a total different world out there. So if you ever have the chance to visit, please do. They encourage anybody to come and visit. They'd be happy to show you around. Unfortunately, there was no school on Monday when we were there because it was, I believe it's called Indigenous Day now. So there were no students there, but it actually worked out pretty good because then we were able to visit and see more of the campus and talk more. As you may have read yet if you haven't, a lot of information is in here. They are planning to build another building behind the buildings that are there right now, which will be more classrooms. They're hoping one will be a preschool in the future. They're hoping to build beyond that new building a full-size basketball court and volleyball court, which is all outdoors, which is something was new to me down in the Phoenix area. They don't have all their sports inside like we do because it's so nice out there. So all their basketball courts and everything are outside. They play their games and everything outside like that. You'll have to excuse me. Some of the things I wrote down, I just actually emailed them the other day of some more questions that I had. I had asked them about the religion aspect as far as what the Native Americans, what they believe, and as far as what we believe. And I'm just going to read some of the response that he had given me as far as sending kids there too. So a handful of families that send their kids there are for the education and athletics, and have no interest in learning about God, or their understanding of God is misconstrued and twisted to fit their religion. For some, just leaving a religion, their Native American religion, is like leaving their family. It becomes a challenge because their family members cut them off or badger them into making the mistakes like them just to see them fail. So unfortunately, they do have that situation, but they also do have members that participate in our religion, and as it says, as they say, they come to worship every Sunday and are active, and they become their own family of believers. One of the things that I think it was Joel had mentioned, as far as like homework and things, they try to get as much done in the classroom during school so they don't have homework, because they don't know what kind of situation that student is going to go home to. They may be going home to just babysit their siblings until a parent comes home. Is the parent coming home sober, or is the parent coming home that has just done something or dealing with alcoholism or drugs? So they really try to be conscious of that with their students. As far as being a total different world, as we're standing there talking, there's a little lizard crawling on the blocks out there. They've had they're called javelinas. They're kind of like a wild pig. They've had those running around campus. Luke was saying how one time they were out on their deck and there was wild horses just running around, which he said a lot of times people that have horses, if they can't afford to feed them anymore, they just let them roam. So they're out on their porch petting the horses. And then one of the things that's on the list in the BAM update that he said is a need is they're always looking for sports balls. They're always having to buy sports balls because there's evidently they're like cacti. They're kind of like a pebble, he said, and then they have pricklers or whatever on them. So the ball hits them and they all pop. So they're always in need of basketballs and things like that. The best thing they said would be like an Amazon gift card. I had mentioned Walmart, but then you have to actually go to Walmart and get stuff, which I think the nearest Walmart, I believe, was it's not very far, maybe like half an hour or so, but they said Amazon would be the best kind of gift card if you want to send that. There is a wish list on Our Savior's Paradise school website. And I know there's things on there that you could do, like with Scholastica. On the Amazon, there's a list. I've noticed they do a lot of crafts from Oriental Trading Company. So if you want to check that out, that will give you some ideas too. anybody has any other questions or anything. There is a display downstairs with just a few pictures and stuff, but it was just very interesting. So if you ever have the chance, please stop in.
Very interesting. Raise your hand if you've ever been on the reservation down, or any of the reservation areas down in Arizona. Yes, it's like taking a step into a different foreign country. Thank you very much for that information about Peridot. And of course, we have 2 other missionaries that are listed there. Cards of encouragement is sometimes all that they need. You don't always have to send money or gift cards. Today, provided for you in your folders are a couple more cards. So you go downstairs and this congregation, how wonderful. They have put out all kinds of greeting cards that all you have to do is just snatch them up. You have no excuse other than to put a stamp on this card, one of these cards today, and you even can, I don't know, let's say hoard them, gather them up and save them for the months to come to send words of encouragement to the missionaries as some of them are in difficult situations, such as Luke Zemer on the reservation. All right, so that is our BAM report. Moving ahead to CAM. BAM, CAM. Okay, sounds like we're doing something with superheroes or something. Central African Medical Mission, CAM, has served faithfully in Malawi and Zambia for, I think, close to 60 years. I'm not going to read the report to you, but as you meet with your ladies groups, or if you want to have extra copies made at your church to be given out in your bulletins, to be set someplace so that other people can pick up, this is another vital humanitarian type of ministry. People come with their children, prenatal classes on staying healthy, malaria and so on. That is the September 2023 gives you those kinds of statistics and information. And just this week, October 2023 came out. You do not have this in your bulletin or in your folders. Go on their website and you say, I don't do websites. Ask someone in your ladies group. Annoy your pastor. Say, could you help me find the October 2023 newsletter? This tells how they are taking the template of their work for nearly 60 years and giving it to other countries and missions. This letter that I will just tell you, they're going to go into Nairobi and Kenya and so on and do similar medical camps. What a neat thing that CAM has started, and now this sort of ministry is going to continue in other areas of Africa and maybe beyond in Asia and other parts of the world, having, again, access to good medical care in areas of third world countries where there isn't that kind of care like you and I have Mayo down the road, right? Yes. All right. Enough about CAM. I'm going to let you find those things on the internet and, again, share them with your ladies and congregation. Another thing is what's called a YES grant form. See this green sheet. What in the world is YES? YES is a $100 grant from our circuit to promote LWMS. How do you want to promote LWMS? You might want to ask one of us to come to a gathering and speak about LWMS and all the different wonderful mission opportunities that they can support. On the back side, it says you might want to do something about kids care for your Sunday school or grade school. Again, however you want to utilize the $100 to revitalize mission awareness in your church with your ladies and men alike, please apply. We're happy to help you. We realize many of your young ladies are not active in this. We realize you are, let's just say, gently seasoned ladies are trying to hold together your ladies group, and we'd like to help you revitalize, okay? Any questions about that? Maybe talk to me a little bit later. Kids Care. Kids Care was organized, that's this white sheet with this little emblem up in the corner. Kids are gathered around the cross. Kids Care was organized many years ago, again, to give an opportunity for kids to help kids, by coming and putting their nickels, dimes, dollars, and learning how to support missions. We do it through our general offerings at church, but how can we help kids to feel like they're also a part of the mission efforts that we do? If you read here, the Kids Care Project is going to be helping missionary kids acclimate to American culture when they come back. Many kids were born and raised outside of the USA. Their parents call USA maybe home. Their kids' home is where they were born and raised and learned the culture and the language. These retreats then will help them feel like maybe they can adopt American culture and ways. Maybe it's not always good, and maybe we have to help them understand why we do the things we do in America, which aren't always the best practices either. I think Sue Riki and others who raised their kids outside of America found out how difficult it can be to bring your kids back to America after they've experienced another world culture. So that's what Kids Care is, and maybe you can get your Sunday schools or your Christian day schools. There's a beautiful display downstairs with more information about Kids Care. Don't leave today without looking at that and taking more information with you. All right, we have passed Kids Care, and now, let me get it. We are turning the page. Ta-da! New business. Start recruiting candidates for next spring's LWMS Winona Circuit offices that will change in 2024. We are looking for secretary, spiritual growth woman, spiritual growth pastor. If you have writing skills, if you like being organized, I'll tell you what, the secretary is a vital person, much more than myself. I lean heavily on the secretary. But if you're afraid of that job, this secretary will kindly and with full knowledge help you with any of the particulars of this job. Please consider being a secretary. Our spiritual growth ladies are so vital in helping encourage you and encourage us and do the befriend a mission things. And then our spiritual growth pastor will also help us make sure that we're paying attention to spiritual things and that we're just not a feel-good group. Talking about next spring's rally, you know that we had a conflict with this weekend. October 14th was chosen by our board. Normally we are the third Saturday in October, the third Saturday in April. Our speaker wouldn't have been able to come if we would have done the third Saturday in October. So we're grateful that you still changed your plans and came this weekend. In April, Good Shepherd of Holman has consented to host. We are actively looking for a presenter for next spring, and it came to my attention that right down the road, about 5 miles from Good Shepherd, on the same day, if we do it on the third Saturday in April, April 20th, is going to be what's called the WELS Cooley Women's Retreat. And that has been going for a while now, but they've brought it now to Luther High School, so they'll have a larger venue. How many of you, or how many would be involved or attending the retreat, the Cooley Women's Retreat? Okay. I know that there may be a conflict of interest with this. This coming week, the steering committee for that Cooley Women's Retreat is going to be meeting. I've already discussed with the chairman of that retreat if they would discuss how maybe we could combine, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, possibly have our LWMS on the same site as their retreat at Luther High School, have a viable mission presenter talk to us as a group, and that would be free. We could meet briefly for a business meeting, and then those of you who do not wish to stay for the retreat could be excused, and those of you who might be interested in attending the retreat could stay for a cost for the rest of the day. I know that they have a variety of very interesting workshops to attend. I am thinking of many of the young women who would go to the retreat and say, so the beginning speaker might be an LWMS mission speaker. Maybe we might snag a few more members. Now, this is just my own brainstorm. I'm giving this information to you because it's either we have our group, which is substantial today, up the road at Good Shepherd, and we stay separate from the Cooley retreat, the Cooley Women's Retreat at Luther, and we stay as just our own group. I don't have any problem with that. Or we will move to the second week in April, which it's just a standing rule. It doesn't need a vote of your approval or anything. It would be a unanimous discussion and a vote by our officers, letting you know at least 6 weeks in advance that the date would be the second week if we would decide that there's too many conflicts of interest by having it on the same date. I would respectfully ask for any questions that you might have or comments at this time about this spring rally conflict, potential conflict. Easter is the last Sunday in March, I believe.
Yeah, March 31st.
Yep. March 31st is Easter. So that shouldn't be a conflict, and even if we go to the the second Saturday. It should be okay. Some other questions or concerns? Joan?
I would like to further discussion with who we're going to be to and see if we can cooperate with the environment. If you want to continue the discussion with that.
Without making any concrete decisions, again, our treasurer Ruth is part of that steering committee, and she is going to be representing our group at an upcoming meeting that they're going to be having. So on your request, we will continue dialoguing with that group, and we will let all of our reporters know how that's going, and if we're leaning one way or if there's even the possibility. Raise your hand if you would like to stay separate from the retreat. Okay? Raise your hand if you think there's a viable cause for joining the retreat. Okay, at this time it looks like the group has some interest in joining the retreat. Pastor.
Just a question, I mean, this not I've said something everything. But obviously, continue because home is posting it in the area where we were in Caledonia or somewhere else. So it would be possible.
That is a very good point. If we are going to be in an outlying area, Lewiston, Cochrane, Fountain City, here we are in Caledonia today, there are 2 other events happening in the La Crosse area that is benefiting Lutherans for Life today that may have taken some of the ladies that could have come here. But there's that proximity. They're in La Crosse, and we're here. The other thing that I was informed that this next spring they have already assembled their speakers, or most of their speakers, and Luther High School said it's available for you. They can move to a different week depending upon Luther High School's availability. Our standing rules are third week in October, third Saturday in April, but we have suspended that and changed when Easter has conflicted on the third weekend sometimes. So, all right. Thank you for your input, and we'll move forward with that. At this time, the last thing that I would like you to take out is mission projects so that you can understand which projects we are supporting with your monies. It is a mustard color yellow. I'm not going to spend much time on this. Please read over which are the 2 that we, our circuit, have picked: South Asian Outreach and Indonesian Projects. And then on the other side, our Home and World WELS, Greater WELS mission projects that are selected out of the mission projects booklet that the Synod provides, or that the LWMS provides. You'll see there's 2 projects. These will be voted on, One World and One Home, before this summer's convention. Reporters, you know what I'm talking about. You go around to your ladies and you say, please give me your vote. Which one would you do? And then you put together all of those votes, and then you send them off to national. And then those become the 2 that we have collected money for this whole year. So what happens to the other 2? Who knows? Tell me what happens to the other 2 that don't get voted on. Somebody knows.
They get the offerings.
From the opening and closing service. And sometimes those offerings are as much as the mission money offerings, so nobody loses. It's a win-win. Okay. At this time, do we have a total attendance from our group today? Is there somebody from registration that can give me a number? 101. Wonderful, 101. Thank you all for attending. And again, Spring Rally is in Good Shepherd of Holman, Wisconsin. And at this time, I will ask for a motion to adjourn our business meeting. Second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And the business meeting is adjourned. Okay? Please feel free to stand up or